Greetings, people of the internet. This is Scott with CircWorks Art Labs, and do you know where you are? You guessed it, you are in the art lab. And what do we do in the art lab? We create robots, aliens, zombies, and other imminent threats to humanity. And sometimes we create miscrits, and this is one of those sometimes. So we are going to continue on with our Miscrits Creature Design 101 series. And what are we working on now? We are in the middle of Evolution 2 of our Miscrit. We've already went through this whole process once before with Evolution 1, but now we're going to do it again, and as we go along, the Miscrits get bigger and badder and better and more powerful. So it gets more exciting. So thank you for joining me. Now, last video, we did our sketch. I've got my blue line pencil, and that's how I sketch. That's how I do most of my sketching. Sometimes I'll use, you know, a different color pencil or whatever. Most of the time it's blue, and that's just my personal preference. It's not a necessity. It's not a requirement. You can sketch any way you want, whatever works for you. But I find that I use the blue pencil because when I bring it into the computer, it's a little lighter, and when I go over it with darker lines, I can see the difference, and it doesn't all bleed in together. So that's why I do it. But again, you do whatever you want, whatever way you want. This whole video is just to kind of show you how I do it. You can take whatever you want from it and create miscrits the way you want. Now, if you're actually at a point where you're creating these and you get to the point where they're going to actually go in the game, there are certain things that the company is looking for and that wants it done a certain way. So there are guidelines you have to follow and everything. But if you're just sketching and everything, do whatever you want. And then hopefully you can pick up some tips from what I've been doing. But anyway, so here is what we have so far. We have, this is what we came up with our second evolution miscrit, the sketch. And so the next sketch, the next step in the process is to take this guy, we're going to scan it into the computer, we're going to bring it into our Adobe Illustrator program, and we're going to start doing the line art. And yeah, I don't know what else to say other than let's get to it, because I'm super excited to bring this guy in. We'll start seeing him take shape, and man, he's going to be pretty cool, I think. And it's just only going to get better from here. So why wait? Let's hop on over to the computer section of the art lab, and I'll meet you there, and we'll start digitizing this guy, and we'll start actually creating the line art version of this miscrit. Let's get to it. All right, so as you can see, we've scanned in our miscrit. We're using the same file as we used before on the first evolution. I like to keep them all sort of in line, so I have them all together, and so I can reference the earlier miscrit, so I know kind of as far as what the colors were and everything like that. So keep all the miscrits on the same file. And again, we're just doing our line work here in Adobe Illustrator. And if you watched the last video where we did the line art for Evolution 1, I talked a little more about my process for doing this. I think for this one, since I already did that, maybe we'll talk about something else while we're drawing this. But I do in the future, before we get to our fourth evolution, so maybe the third or on the fourth evolution, we'll talk. I'll try to go a little more in depth on this process, because I kind of just skimmed over a few things, but maybe I'll just you know, really take you kind of step by step for anyone that is interested. So, but I was going to go through, I've been getting some questions and things, and I appreciate all the questions that you guys put in the comment section and everything. And I tried to get back to you. I went back through some of the comments, and there were a few that I missed for whatever reason. Maybe I wasn't alerted to them or whatever, so I apologize for that, but I do try to get back to everyone if I can. Just to let you guys know, there's certain questions that are I really can't answer. I mean, I get a lot of questions about things that are happening in the game, or when things are going to happen, or when's Blightfall going to come out, and things like that. I can't answer those questions. I don't work for Broken Bulb anymore. I mean, I do sort of stay in touch with some of the people over there, but you know, it's not it's not a relationship where I can just call and bug them about every little thing. And to be totally honest, I'm kind of working on my own stuff too. So that's not just something I want to call and bug them. They do have there is a Miscrits, YouTube channel. It's probably best to ask them that. And a lot of stuff in the game, I haven't been working on it for that long, or I haven't played in forever. So I really, as much as I like to, I really can't answer a lot of those questions. So I apologize for that. But anything pertaining to the artwork or anything like that, I'd be more than happy to answer. Or, and if I do, if I do know something about the game, I can try to answer it. But most of the time, I just have to respond and say, yeah, I'm sorry, I don't really know. I'm just not really in the loop anymore on that kind of thing. So, but anyway, so one question I got that I didn't really want to type out the whole answer, because I'm the world's like slowest typist and everything. So I figured I'd just go on and answer that question here on this video. So I got a question. Let me see. I wrote down the name. So, oh no, here it is. It's K Barros. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that. 74. Wanted to know which Miscrits I created other than the ones that I talked about. And I don't remember. I didn't go back to every video and remember which one I talked about. So I'm just going to give you a list of all the Miscrits that I created. Now, I mean, I was one of the artists and the designers when we first launched Miscrits, and after, I don't know how long I worked on the game, maybe a year or two, maybe, and then I switched over to some other games, and then of course I left the company. So a lot of the newer Miscrits and things like that, they weren't created by me. A lot of the ones I did were the earlier ones. So I will go ahead and give you a list. And I'm not going to mention like dark Miscrits or foil Miscrits or any of those special edition Miscrits. I mean, they're all kind of, if it's based on one that I did, then it's based on one that I did. But I didn't really, I wasn't really involved in making certain Miscrits, special editions or anything like that. Although I did come up with the concept of the dark Miscrit. I think the first one we did was dark. I think it was Dark Pranja was the first one we did. But anyway, so here's a list of the Miscrits that I created, and I'll just go from. I think I just went through the Miscripedia and everything. So, and I'm not going to list every single evolution, just the first evolution. So anyway, so if you guys are curious, here's the Miscrits that I worked on. So Flower Pillar, Pranja, Hydroseal, Snortus, Snatcher, Squibby, Steamgwyn, Tremor, Blazebit, Frostmite, Equestrian, Drilldent. Now Drilldent was a name that a lot of times I'll try to name them myself, and they'll end up giving them different names. Originally, I had named it Corkscrew because he's kind of like a shrew character, and he's kind of got that corkscrew face, kind of like this, because he's this like digging Miscrit, which I guess it sounded too similar to Sandshrew or they thought it did from Pokemon, even though I think it's kind of a different look. So they changed it to Drilldent, but I always like the name Corkscrew because I think it's kind of funny. Anyway, so just a little trivia there. Moomba, Facilla. On Facilla, I created the first two evolutions, and then Chris Mendoza. There's a couple Miscrits where that happened, where kind of two people like tag teamed the Miscrits and did either like two of the evolutions and the other person did the other two. So Chris Mendoza did the later two evolutions of Facilla, and that was a fun one to work on. It was kind of cool to partner up on that. But Chris really does I'm sure most of the Miscrits that you guys like, he's the designer. I mean, he's kind of like the main. He's got more Miscrits in the game than anyone. So, but let's see, where was it? Okay, so Thundercracker, Microblast, Sledgehog, Saffron, Sparkspeck, Grubbing. And Grubbing was one that my son actually designed. He was, he's very big into like creature fighting games like Pokemon or Digimon, all those games. He did like a little sketch, so I kind of put my own spin on it, so it looked a little more like in the game. But he was the one that came up with the concept of that whole thing. That was kind of cool. He was pretty young at the time, so that was kind of cool. Let's see what else. Snorkels, Kelpa, Slithero, Spinneret, Humbug, Magpul, Pamboo, Crocodile, Azteco, Oxo, Cortex, Drowsy, Electro, Leafbeard, Firebrand, and the last Miscrit that I designed was Sergeant, the kind of the fire army ant, which I think is probably one of my favorites. Probably one of the better drawn ones. But anyway, and then hopefully this guy here, which right now we're just calling him Manio, but that might change. I got some cool feedback. I probably share that with another episode, but I got a really cool idea of an sort of another route to go with this guy. Not totally separate, because it's like I still like the whole idea of the theatrical angle, but somebody added something to that, and I will I think I'll talk about that in probably maybe the next episode, and maybe as we go on we'll incorporate some other features like that. But so anyway, so back to the Miscrit. We're about to kind of wrap this up, and we're doing this, we speed these up a little bit, so because a lot of the process is just the same thing over and over again. And I think this stage is probably the one, maybe the least amount of people might be interested in. I'm thinking more people like the sketching and probably the coloring, because when you do the coloring, you kind of see it actually come to life, and that's and you see the finished product for the most part. So this, the outlining might not be everyone's favorite stage, so I kind of sped this up a little more than before. I think before our videos were running about 20 minutes. This one will probably run about, 12 minutes or so. But yeah, as you can see, we've got kind of pretty much the same color scheme. A lot of times we'll start adding some new colors or going a little darker with our colors, or maybe lighter or whatever, just depending on the way the creature evolves. Yeah, this guy right now, I'm doing all the open lines, which are any line that's not connected, and I do those in another layer. So because anything that's open, if you accidentally click on it, it will connect to another line. So you kind of watch that. And again, I'm going to go in depth on a future video of the line art stage and kind of go step by step on exactly how to do this. If you are interested, if you are interested in designing Miscrits like this. But I think we're about wrapping this up, and we'll be back hopefully next week, and we'll color this guy up, and we'll have our second evolution of our Miscrit finished, and then only 2 more to go, and that's going to be super awesome. So thanks for watching. Please do subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a comment, or if you have any questions or anything like that, I will try to get back to you either in the comments or in person. So that is all.